Hi, and welcome to episode 46 of Think Like a Hacker. Today we are sitting down with Mikey Veenstra, who has done some research into the rich reviews, zero-day vulnerability, and what attackers are up to. We sat down in downtown Tempe, Arizona at Press Coffee, and we had a minor audio glitch in the middle of the interview, but it only lasts for a few seconds, so bear with us. We think you'll get a lot from this interview. Thanks for watching. Hi, welcome to episode 46 of Think Like a Hacker. We have a real treat for you today. I am in Tempe, Arizona with our good friend Mikey Veenstra, and we will be talking about some of his research that was published just this morning. What'd you find out, Mikey?
Oh, it's going out tonight.
It's going out hopefully today.
Awesome. So there is a plugin that has been removed from the WordPress.org repo for a while now. It's called Rich Reviews. The plugin has a pretty glaring vulnerability in its options updating features. Effectively, any option can be changed by any user on any page of the site that it's installed on. And what we're seeing is an attack campaign that's using that vulnerability to then exploit another vulnerability in the rendering of some of these options. So it's actually two vulnerabilities that are being used in one kill chain to get an unauthenticated XSS payload onto a victim site.
Okay, so it has 16,000 installs?
That's our estimate, yeah.
Okay.
So as of
current
January,
installs or
current installs, yeah.
Okay.
So as of January, there is a Wayback archive of the plugin repo page for that plugin, and it had 10,000 plus then. And we've got our own methods for reaching estimates. We can't really share them, but we're thinking about 16,000, but definitely between 10 and 20,000.
how long have we known, or how the community, how long has it been known that there's a vulnerability in this plugin?
So the community at large, for the most part, this is brand new. There hasn't been any chatter about this really. There has been a proof of concept for this floating around for actually a couple of years now, but it doesn't seem like any bad actors have really snatched it up. Nobody had taken the ball and ran with it. But now we're starting to see exploitation. Now it's on our radar, and so now we need to start the ball rolling on getting everything fixed.
How long ago did you see this compromises starting to happen with this?
So the earliest known, so our site cleaning team has logs dating back at least to the 18th of September of attacks like this. There's a chance that it could be going a little bit further back, but and then 6 days ago now or 5 days ago, there was a forum post on the .org forums for that plugin saying that their site had gotten hacked as well, and that was several days ago. So it's been going for a little bit now.
All right, so is this technically a 0 day?
I mean, you and me could each kind of pull out our own machines and find 8,000 different definitions of 0 day. Because there was a proof of concept floating around, it could definitely be argued that the developer's aware they have just neglected to patch it for this long. But it is for sure unpatched. It is for sure something that you would not expect a sysadmin to be aware of. There's not going to be a log entry in a vulnerability scanner that's going to complain about it. It's really like somebody would have to know to dig into this plugin and look through some Google history to find something like this.
All right, and we're seeing active exploits on this. And what are they actually doing? Like explain, like I'm five type of thing.
Yeah. So there's, like I said, there's two distinct vulnerabilities that are being used. One of them is the plugin is kind of always listening for a very specific request that tells it to update its own options. And it's not any WordPress options, it's just the plugin's own settings. And it's for like sourcing and displaying Google reviews and page reviews and stuff like that, like 5 stars and I like this. So any user, logged in or not, is able to modify some settings. There's settings like does a review need to be approved before it'll be shown? What sort of permissions do you need on the site to approve those things? And then there's some text display options, like if a review is really long and you want to truncate it, do you want a little read more link there? What do you want that text to say?
Okay.
And some of those text display outputs are not sanitized. So in the case of the attacks that we're seeing, it is that actual read more link that's getting manipulated. So instead of it saying, read more of this review, now it's close tag, bunch of script garbage, and it's sourcing a third-party script to execute in the browser of anybody viewing that review.
Is it a malicious redirect that's happening there?
So yeah, so it's a third-party script that sources, so it can change at any time because it's being pulled remotely. But as of when we were looking at it, it's a fairly standard malvertising script. So it's one script that gets called and sourced from another place, and then that one has other things that it can call from outside. But we've seen these in known malvertising campaigns before, where it's doing pop-up ads and potentially dangerous redirects to users. There's also potential because the admin-facing options page isn't sanitized either. So when it's saying, what do you want this read more link to say? Well, that's also rendering there. So they can tweak the payload a little bit so that it will trigger on users who are viewing the reviews themselves or the admin viewing the settings page.
All right. So talk to me about Wordfence users. Are they protected?
Yes. So the cross-site scripting payloads that we're seeing are super standard. Our firewall is really, really good, for lack of a better descriptor, at catching cross-site scripting and things like that. And so almost every time a vulnerability like this comes out, we don't even need to add a rule or anything because it's already covered. So free and premium users alike don't need to worry about the cross-site scripting injections that we're seeing as part of this campaign. On the other hand, there is still the larger issue of people can just manipulate the options of that plugin. Like you can spam a bunch of reviews by turning off the fact that they need to be approved. And you can, write, Kathy was here, LOL, in place of that read more link or whatever you could right now. So there's still some things that are not good to have somebody out there messing with. So we did release a new rule that was yesterday. So premium users should have that already. That'll prevent any unauthorized users from making changes to the plugin settings. Free users will get that after our usual 30-day delay.
All right, great. So if someone has this plugin on their site and they're pretty deep into the ecosystem and have been using it, what's your recommendation for them?
So the developers are aware, but they've quoted 2 weeks. What it seems like is that they've kind of just been doing this brand new overhaul already that just happens to not include that same vulnerable code. So it doesn't feel like they're really that interested in patching the vulnerable incarnation of the plugin as it exists right now. I think they're just trying to finish what they were doing anyway, and they're just going to stick it on top. So if you don't want to wait 2 weeks, I would recommend finding an alternative solution.
All right, great. So, what's it called again?
Rich reviews.
Rich reviews. Mm-hmm. So if you are using this plugin, time to look for something else. The attacks that are happening targeting this plugin, are they similar to any of the other attacks that you've been following lately?
Yeah, so these are directly linked to a known malvertising campaign.
Okay.
There's arguably 2 incarnations of this that are floating around. Not this attacks against this vulnerability, but there's 2 big redirect campaigns that are. I can't completely confirm that they're linked, but there's some definitely unique TTPs on each side, and it's known domains. It's all stuff we've seen before. The main IPs that we're tracking in this, one of them had shown up in the same campaign before already. There's so many links between this and earlier things. We've forecasted on these guys before that if something new comes out or ends up on their radar, you need to expect that they will add it to the tool belt. And this is just another example of that.
Okay, so the threat actors that you're following, is it like one core group and then other people are kind of copycatting, or what's going on there?
We can't really say for certain. We don't have the jurisdiction or law enforcement agency to really go and actually like punch criminals or anything. But
darn it.
And so what we do is we draw lines and make connections between the bits of data that we do have. So we see a lot of infrastructure, we see a lot of their methodology, and we're able to make links. Like these scripts do roughly the same thing, but they're always obfuscated in different ways, and there's different coding methods used. And I mean, it's like, a teacher can tell which kid in their class wrote a thing even though their name's not on it. Like you can identify the work of you can tell looking at two things that two different people made it. And yeah, there's a lot of copycatting. There's people that pass around the same web shell and stick their own name on it, but you can still tell it's that web shell. And so we see these two distinct kind of bubbles of activity that a lot of the time there's crossover. They're using the same vulnerabilities, but in slightly different ways. And we draw those conclusions, but sometimes we try to stick names on them, but it's tough because it's just, again, like one of those wall of crazy where you've got just push pins and note cards and pictures and string. And so this one over here doesn't have many strings that connect to this one over here.
Gotcha.
And that's what we work from, basically.
All right. Interesting.
Yeah.
So what's new in Mikey's world? Are you seeing anything interesting or anything new?
We're collecting a ton of data on a malware campaign that almost everybody in this industry has probably seen a number of times before. It's not something I can share a lot of detail on right now, but it's big in the sense that it's well known.
Okay.
And it's something that we've been spending some time trying to crack open, and it's exciting to be able to put a few more pieces of the puzzle together than have previously been made, which is sometimes the most exciting part. We don't always get to point a spotlight on an actual human and say this is a criminal, but when something has been causing head scratchers all over our industry for so long, it's nice to take some extra steps, and so that's what I'm working on right now. That and a bunch of talks and stuff.
Yeah. So where can people see you coming up?
Yeah. So I'm going to be in Phoenix doing the Advanced WordPress Developer Meetup. I'm doing a talk on the OWASP Top 10. That's going to be this Thursday, and then October 5th, I will be at WordCamp Rochester, New York.
Yeah, that'll be fun.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
I'm there with you.
Yeah, you are, aren't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, your talk is up against a panel that I'm going to be on.
I know, it's going to be all Wordfence all the time in Rochester. So. Well, thanks for meeting me today and having a chat about this research that you just did, and we look forward to seeing what else you have coming.
Thanks for buying me coffee.
Yeah. That's it for Think Like a Hacker, and we will have an interview coming up just in a couple of days, and we'll talk to you soon.